It's the Let's Go Eat and Drink Show with hosts Jimmy Santangelo and Bill Allred.
Let's go
I'm your announcer, Zach Caton, and we're coming to you live on tape from Casot, in the heart of 15th and 15th. Casot, a wine and craft cocktail bar at 1508 South, 1500 East in the Great Salt Lake City. Our guest today is the founder of Sugar House Distillery, James Fowler.
We just can't say it enough. We are a grain to glass.
Yeah.
We start from the very beginning. But on our federal statement, we claim fermented, distilled, barreled, and bottled by Sugar House Distillery, South Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's why we put all of that. It just has to say distilled and bottled by.
Uh-huh.
If it just says bottled by, that means that is a sourced whiskey or a sourced alcohol at that point.
And now here are your hosts, Jimmy and Bill.
Well, then let's find out how crazy really that James Fowler is. James Fowler, of course, the proprietor, along with his wife, as I recall,
Danielle,
for Sugar House Distillery. And actually, you were on this podcast when I was doing it solo 5 years ago.
Yeah, 5-6 years ago,
Yeah,
I bet.
And you were the Sugar House Distillery was just kind of really new.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I think Bill Frost told me about it. He said, "I love Sugar House Distillery." And
well, we did it with Beehive, Eric and Chris, if I remember right.
oh, that's right.
Yeah.
James Fowler. Anyway, let me just give you a proper intro here. He is a founder of Sugar House Distillery, which is a grain-to-glass whiskey, vodka, rum distillery, 2212 Southwest Temple, still there.
Yep.
Sugar House Distillery, small batch distillery that creates top-shelf alcohol products from the best local ingredients with no additives, no artificial colors, no flavors, just grain or molasses, yeast, and thyme. And this is you have grown this business. It's you can buy these in the liquor store. I don't even know if you could buy them in the liquor store when I first met you. You could only buy them at the distillery.
Yeah.
And James, so why does anybody get into this business? What prompted this? What's your background? What did you do before this?
Yes. So my background, going back to graduating high school, turning 21, started to be drinking really good beer. And back then, this
easy
is
to do in Utah.
Well,
too.
this was the early '90s, so
Yeah.
Squatters, Wasatch, a lot of the breweries were just kind of getting up and going, and so I turned to home brewing. It was like, I love this. I want to, I want to figure this out.
How to do it? Yeah.
So I home brewed for probably a good 20 years, and I had a desk job. It was decent. It was okay, and then I got an outside sales job for a chemical company, and I started traveling the United States and started going to breweries, distilleries, moved down to Texas for a while, started drinking a lot of whiskey, saw some stills, and we're like, wow, I understand fermentation. I know fermentation inside and out. I just got to figure out this distillation part. And that's really kind of what started putting it in my head.
It just piqued your interest, and you just got what do they say, a bee under your bonnet?
Yeah.
A bug in your ear?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. And so you make this decision to open your own distillery. A lot of money had to be invested.
Yeah.
A big chance to take. And how many years ago was that?
So we've been open 10 years. That's
2013, right?
Talking about a lot of this when we were starting, those were rough years because we decided not to source. So
what does that mean?
That means just buying off the open market. Probably 95% of local spirits are actually not local at all. They're bought from huge manufacturers and then put into the bottle.
Let's talk about, as a matter of fact, High West.
Yeah.
High West Whiskey Dave started that with, it's brilliant marketing
absolutely.
stuff. But he didn't make any of that whiskey. He bought it from other places, different kinds, and blended it.
Yeah.
So there was some artistry there. They find some good blends that people would like, and put it in bottles with cool labels, and man, it just went skyrocket.
So back then, it was really easy. MGP had a ton of good whiskey, and you could go buy an empty barrel for $200, or you could buy a full barrel of 10, 15 to 20-year-old whiskey for, $300 or $400 or $500.
Can I still do that? Can I get the number for?
Yeah,
Unfortunately,
I'll just take it home.
and so back then it was.
Does it come with a straw?
Yeah. So you have all these distilleries like Whistle Pig and Angel's Envy.
Yeah.
Templeton Rye, Jefferson's. I mean, the list just goes on, but they just started, sourcing from MGP. That was
And MGP stands for what?
I think it's like Midwest Grain Products, if I remember right.
It's just a big clearinghouse for whiskey.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, they're one of the biggest producers of the rye whiskey in America. Mm-hmm. And so everybody just started buying from them, and I think that the logic is eventually we'll start making our own whiskey.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Dave, what's his last name?
Perkins.
Dave Perkins. I mean, he made no secret. When I interviewed him, he wasn't trying to hide anything. He said, "No, we were working on our own, but this is the way to get it started."
Yeah, exactly.
So here's James Fowler at Sugar House. Starts in 2013. He spends 3 days straight with the stills on, running new spirit to make his bourbon in brand new American oak barrels. You betcha. And after 3 days, his warehouse is full, and then he looks around like, now what do you guys want to do for the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah.
Well, our whiskey's aging.
But that was really hard. Selling young whiskey was hard. And we took on some strategies of going into smaller barrel aging. They've done that in Europe forever. So we took 15-gallon size barrels, 30s, and then full 53s, and those 15 age a lot quicker.
They were quicker, yeah.
And so that helped. Obviously, it's not perfect whiskey, but it really helped. Mm-hmm. And still today, 10 years later, we have barrels that are 7, 8, 9 years old. But a lot of times we still take a 15-gallon size barrel, maybe not a lot of them, but maybe one or two, and we'll go ahead and put those in also.
So we ought to have a little toast here to begin the show. This is Sugar House Distillery. James Fowler's brought in various products here. And what's this one in?
So this is the bourbon. So it's 75% corn, 20% rye. So rye is going to spice it up, and then 5% malted barley. And that malted barley is going to sweeten it a little bit.
Okay. But it's not a rye whiskey. It's a bourbon.
It's a bourbon. So it's got to be at least 51% corn by law.
Cheers. Thank you for bringing it. Let's see. So there ain't nothing wrong with that.
That's proofed at 92. So we go a little bit higher. I'd love to proof everything at 1.
Yeah.
At 100, 110. But
my motto's become over the years, well, if it's not 100 proof, I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
You just get more bang for your buck.
No, you're right. But good for you, because we have a cast strength that's 133 proof coming out.
Whoa!
And
did you bring some of that?
I did, and both of our next releases are 108.
Bill just got happy.
108.
He's so excited.
108.
I've had some. I was Elijah Craig or something that was 140, I think.
Yeah.
And Old Forester makes one that's 112 or something.
Yeah.
It does get a little much when it goes 100. That's a nice even
Well,
number.
you like the Wild Turkey 101.
I used to drink that a lot when I was a kid.
Yeah. I think you'll like this 133 on the malt cask.
I'd like to
think
try
you'll be
it.
impressed.
What I like about your bourbon here is the barrel regiment, if you want to talk about that.
So, well, a lot of it, over the years, you've seen people start up like we have with the smaller barrels, and they haven't really known how to kind of advance it. So they've stayed in 15-gallon size barrels, they've stayed in 30s, or they just immediately go all the way into 53s. And what we found is each barrel size has something to offer. So the small 15-gallon size barrels, they're going to flavor quicker. They're going to bring out a teeny bit of smoke, but they're going to bring out a ton of that tan and a ton of the oak flavor. So the 30s start to balance it out, and the full 53s do an amazing job on balancing it out. So the 30s, you still have some of that, the speeding up. So right now we're taking about, say, 20 barrels of a 30-gallon size barrels. We'll take 2 or 3 full-size 53s and maybe 4 15-gallon size barrels, and we vat all that together. So that's an average batch for us.
It's like you're a chef. You know,
Exactly.
You got different ingredients. It's all the same spirit. It's all the same whiskey in those barrels. But when you that's what makes whiskeys and bourbons in particular taste so different from one another. Not only that barrel aging, but then different grains that you're using in ratios and things like that. But yeah, it really comes through.
And we don't use the word straight on our label, and I get a little flack for that sometimes. But the reason we don't is because the 15,
what does that connote?
So straight means that it's at least 2 years old.
Okay.
But our problem is we might have one or two of those 15-gallon size barrels that are 22 months, 23 months.
Mixed in a little.
And even it's just a small amount, we still can't, if it's got a drop of anything under 2 years, it can't be a straight. And so say on our stuff that, 96% of our vat is, probably 4.5, 5.5 years old. Well, that little teeny bit of amount would disqualify it.
Yeah, you're being honest about what
Yeah.
you do. Can you explain a grain to glass? I mean, I think it seems kind of self-explanatory, but...
So we work with local farmers, and we buy everything here in Utah. We go a little bit up into eastern Idaho, but we like to say about 125-mile radius. So we bring in that grain, we grind it, we do a mash on it, we distill it, and then it goes into barrels. And we have about 450 barrels in our warehouse right now. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, the industry, you're just seeing all sorts of stuff. You're seeing people buy whiskey now out of Kentucky that's came off the still. They're rerunning it through their still and then putting it into barrels. And that's kind of why we become a little
So is
smart.
that the new spirit? They're taking new spirit and then doing a triple or even a fourth time.
Exactly. And
Did
so
not know that.
So we just can't say it enough. We are a grain to glass.
Yeah.
We start from the very beginning. But on our federal statement, we claim fermented, distilled, barreled, and bottled by Sugar House Distillery, South Salt Lake City, Utah. And that's why we put all of that. It just has to say distilled and bottled by. If it just says bottled by, that means that is a sourced whiskey or a sourced alcohol at that point.
Talk about the process. To me, it seems fascinating. Maybe it's not that interesting, but what was it like trying to get your product in the state liquor stores?
Those early years were really hard. The DABC was kind of managed a little bit different, and they had the mentality of, we want to work with the Walmarts. We don't want to work with the farmers market.
Yeah.
And so it was very frustrating.
Want to work with the big guys, not some little local guys.
Yeah. And it was really, really frustrating.
Who was the first to get their spirit in liquor store?
High
West?
Yeah, it would have been High West, and then Ogden Zone, and then Beehive and us. We got our DSBs the same month. So
early people though. All of you.
Yeah. And we've really lucked out. Tiffany at the DABS in the last, I don't know, maybe 2 years, 3 years. She's really brought it a long way. She understands local. She understands the impact, how important it is for everybody, and she's really done some leaps and stride in making things better and easier.
And you have done made great strides too with your designs of your packaging. The labels have gotten better.
New bottle.
Yeah, new bottle. That has been the hardest thing. Marketing.
Marketing.
That
and
label.
you do it yourself.
No, actually, we probably went out to 10, 15, 20 designers and just kept getting design, and nothing. It was just, we met at the library with about 20 bar owners, and we kept just going through all these designs, and it was like, it's not it. And finally, at one of those meetings, I had just got an email of the rye whiskey label, and it was from a guy. He is a broadcaster, or he does producing for the Canadian Broadcasting Channel or something like that. And he's like, look, I'm not a designer, but I saw this cigar box that he designed. It was beautiful. And so I just said, would you be interested in doing a label? And he was like, it's not my thing. And then about a week later, he sent me this email with this rye whiskey label and said, hey,
awesome.
in my free time, I did this. And, I'd be interested in taking a crack at your other stuff if you like it. And it was like, I take it, show it to the group, and everybody was like, that's it. That's it.
What about getting your product into bars? Can you? I guess they have to go to the liquor store. They have to, because they're a licensee. They're what do they call them? A licensee or something.
Yeah.
So they go to the liquor store. So I guess you just have to kind of, did you go around to bars try to convince them that go get my stuff?
Yeah, in the early days we did, and it was hard. I mean, it's a hard sell, we're priced a little bit more expensive because we're doing everything by hand. I mean, the barrels aren't cheap, the bottles, we're not buying in train loads or truckloads, especially those early years. And now we have Francis that goes around, and
Francis Facto of Libations. He's a broker here in our community who represents Sugar House
and other labels.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so Francis does an amazing job now, and we try to be at restaurants or bars as much as we can, or have them at our place as much as possible.
I would assume that these brokers, and there are several around, they have to be licensed, right?
Jeff Carter, who we interviewed in a previous podcast, used to be one of those brokers.
They're licensed?
And they're licensed, and as a broker licensee, and they have a portfolio of products. And
can they take samples around to the bars?
No, that would be nice.
So they just have to be smooth talkers.
Yeah. So the nice thing is they can come to our place and legally taste.
The bar owners, and the restaurateurs.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. So that is the good part of that.
When you started Sugar House Distillery, could people come to, right from the beginning, they could come there and buy product?
Yeah, so probably for the first 6 months to a year, that was the only place that anything was sold. And then eventually they got the vodka out and going into some stores.
And is that, to me, that's an odd quirk in the Utah liquor law, that you can go to a distillery and even on a Sunday, you go, I'm out of booze. Oh, the liquor store is closed. Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're open on Sunday, but some are.
Yes. So that was an amazing thing. And really, Jay up at the Hive Winery, he lobbied for that.
I know him.
And Jay got that to go through. I mean, he did a great job. We can be open holidays. We can be open Sundays. We're looking for a new building, and I'm sure when we find it, it will be open on a Sunday.
Well, maybe you could be open 24 hours a day.
Oh, now we're dreaming.
So I just saw you capped this, you popped this rye whiskey.
Yeah.
Let's try just a little bit of just a.
It's an even pour measure. I like that. That's got that little ball bearing in there.
Well,
just tiny.
That's also another. That's also another Utah thing. So
measured pour.
Yeah, measured pour. We use them for tastings.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But in a weird way, they're really convenient.
Is it? I mean, if you just let that thing go, it would only pour an ounce, right?
If we let that go, it only pours a quarter ounce.
A quarter ounce.
Yep. So
you have to do 4, because you can legally serve an ounce. Is that right?
At the distillery, we can legally serve 2.5 ounces.
Oh, really?
But
like an old mini bottle.
But that would be a combination. So normally we'll do, like, if we're going to do 5 or 6, and we leave it at a quarter ounce, just so that we don't go over.
Yeah. You seem to be a happy guy.
I'm going to Maui tomorrow.
Really? You seem to be really happy with what's going on in your business, and proud of what you've done. Is there a little glimmer or an end game of, maybe somebody will come along and say, we'd sure like to buy you? Has that ever occurred to you?
Not really.
Really?
I think those days are gone.
You think?
I really do. I mean, there were the A distilleries that came out maybe 3 years before us. We're definitely in that B category. We have to work our ass off. That's kind of in the level that we're at. But really, a lot of the reason I quit my job, I had a really good job when I quit.
Traveling around.
But I was traveling, and that could be good and that could be bad. But at the same time, I don't feel like I've worked a day since. I really don't.
Really?
I mean, I have a fun time doing this. I really do. So,
have you? How many people do you employ?
We have 5 full-time employees now, and we probably have another 4 or 5 that are part-time.
And are these are people who are distilling whiskey?
I have 3 distillers now, plus myself. So I kind of oversee the distilling, and we just brought on Ryan from Wasatch. He was one of the head brewers over there. And when I say just, it's probably been a year now. And Ryan myself and Ryan kind of oversees the other 2, and things are going really smooth right now.
Now I'm going to show you how what a brave man James Fowler is at Sugar House Distillery. You will put your whiskey up against anybody's whiskey.
I will. I love doing this. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer.
So what have you given us here?
So
This one is yours.
So yeah,
Your rye.
this is our rye.
Okay.
And this is a competitor's rye. So this, and I'm not quite sure. It could possibly come out of that MGP facility.
Do you not want to say the name of the competitor?
I don't mind if we do or don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's High West.
High West rye.
that we're
Label
trying
showing.
it against.
Which one should I try first?
You don't either way.
Okay.
So what I really look for is I want to notice how it coats my mouth. I want to see, it should just be that really nice smooth mouthfeel. Mm-hmm. What are you tasting 5 seconds in? What are you tasting 10 seconds in? What are you tasting, 25, 30 seconds? And is it a good flavor, And I want that flavor to be consistent. And that's really what I'm looking for on both of them. But
Now, to me, just that High West was, I'm eating a piece of bread between it just seemed like alcohol to me.
Yeah.
Just like,
it's got a little bite.
yeah. And maybe it's me. I'm not getting anything much out of it other than just a bite.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you got a bit of a spice, caramel, black pepper, and then finish.
Oh, I get some pepper, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what rye is about. Rye's got a really focused dose of, which I think you'll see is the cinnamon. And I use double rye, just full disclosure, all the time on my tours.
Yeah.
And then I use your bourbon for them as well on my Utah Whiskey and History tours. But the interesting, I haven't done this in a while.
Yeah, side by
Rye's
side.
back and forth.
Yeah. So also, I mean, the thing about rye, it should be spicy, but it's definitely like you drag it through the spice cabinet. I mean, it should have, like Jimmy was saying, some of that cinnamon, the clove, all these different spice flavors.
Yours is a broader palate.
It's smoother,
much
too.
more
By
the
far.
smoother,
Yeah.
wider on
And-
the palate.
and
And I've
that-
not done this before, so this is really interesting.
Mouth coat, I see what you mean. Yours is kind of clings to your gums and tongue a little more.
Yeah, exactly. That mouthfeel is really there, and I think all of our whiskeys do a great job with that mouthfeel on it.
But now I'm at a point I don't think I could try the 133. I'd just be. It's
You're
late
gonna
in
have
the
to
day
kick
for
the
me.
sand out of your shorts, Bill, and get back in the game.
I still have to go do an event tonight where I have to be sharp and funny and all of that crap. Let's see this. But I got a couple of hours. I can relax.
Yeah.
We got some snacks.
Yeah.
So, what are your lineup? So, I'm familiar with the bourbon, the rye, the single American malt.
Yeah.
But we were just chatting. Bill brought up the more higher proof. But what are your other lines that are available?
So we did the vodka.
That's your starter.
Yeah, the starter. In the 750s, we're definitely in the top 10 of the best-selling 750s in Utah, maybe even in the top 5. So it's a very common
What's the
vodka.
base of the vodka? What are the grains?
The base of the vodka is corn and wheat. And
good broad mouthfeel then, yeah.
Corn is going to give it a nice cream. The problem with corn, it's got an alcohol bite. And that's where the red wheat comes in. It just really smooths it out. And then once again, with us doing on-grain distillation through the process, you get that nice mouthfeel on it. So you get a really nice mouthfeel.
So you just have to know how much. Okay, I'm going to pour in this many buckets of corn and this many buckets of red wheat.
We do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we have just it's called a mash bill, but it's a recipe more or less.
Yeah, and then you let that ferment.
Yep.
And distill it.
And then, so we have our still goes through a 28-step distillation process.
Maybe describe to people what distilling is really.
So alcohol is going to boil off at a lower temperature than water. So about 140 degree Fahrenheit, alcohol is going to start vaporizing, where water is not going to start vaporizing until about 180, 190 degree Fahrenheit. So at 140, we're going to keep that temperature there. We're going to start boiling off that alcohol. And then the still does all sorts of amazing things at that point. The copper, it pulls out sulfur flavors. The distillation plates, it cleans it up. It's going to make it more pure. It's going to send back the impurities back to the still, and it's just going to keep redistilling it until it's more pure.
So you're
more
capturing
pure.
vapor essentially, and then it drips. It becomes liquid again.
Yeah,
and that's your alcohol.
Yeah, it's cool. In the column, it looks like it's raining, and that's all the impurities of the alcohol coming down. And then as it goes back up, once it hits the condenser on the other side, that's really cold. So that cold condenser turns it back into liquid, just like on mash.
You had to buy a still. You had to buy a still. You didn't make your own.
I did make. Well, I didn't make my own, but I more or less designed this last still that I bought.
That big monster one.
The big monster.
Yeah.
And for some reason, I have in my mind that some of the best stills come from Germany.
They do. Yeah, Germany, the United States, they're
Maybe you told me that a long time ago.
Yeah, no, Germany makes some really good stills.
Oh.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I was once, I had a friend, and he was a brewer, still is, I think, but he also knew how to distill whiskey, and I said, well, we should make a still, and he said, okay, let's make a still and have it in the house.
Yeah.
And I thought that would be a great, we never did it, but he assured me that we could get a water heater and and make a still. Yeah. And Gina said on the radio, well, why would you want to do that? And I said, are you kidding? I can walk up to a still at any time I want and just get some whiskey.
Yeah, have something to drink.
Have something to drink anytime I want.
Yeah.
Come on.
It's like the fountain drink.
Yeah, it's exactly.
That's what we have all
and then
day
I
long.
said to her, you remember MASH, don't you? And she went, oh, now I get it.
Yeah, I get it now.
Yeah. It's a fascinating profession. It really is a fascinating profession.
Yeah.
And you've done. Let's just try a little bit of that 133.
Okay.
I can't. I'm so curious. 133 proof, which makes it way over 50% alcohol.
Yeah. So this is
That's okay. That's good. Oh, okay, he gave me more.
Keep away from open flame.
Yeah. Yeah. You could light this.
So we
Flambe.
were harvesting barrels.
Smells
and
good.
We found a barrel that we really liked, and so kind of like when you were talking about that Elijah Craig, that was that's.
I
the
think
same
it was
thing.
140.
Yeah, so they probably found a barrel, so we call that a cast barrel, a cast strain. So we didn't put any water in it after that it came out
Great
of the
color.
barrel.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
And so this is 100% malted barley, the same grains that beer's made out of, and then it's
100% barley.
100% malted barley.
Wow.
That's powerful.
I should be ready.
But it's smooth.
Yeah, it is really smooth for being 133.
It could be
huh?
harsh. It could be very harsh.
Yeah.
But it's quite smooth. As I recall, that Elijah Craig was kind of harsh. It was.
Yeah.
I wouldn't buy it again.
Yeah.
Especially when it was like $80.
But you know what I would do? I mean, I really like it, but I actually brought one right here. So I'm a big component of, if you find a higher proof whiskey, put a little bit of water in it and bring it down to probably about 100 proof. And it is going to drink a lot better. A lot of times when we release a whiskey at 133, we don't expect everybody to drink it at that. I expect some people to put ice, maybe a little bit of water. And then the people that like it at 133, they can have it.
Yeah.
But all of the flavor is in it. And what we've done a lot is we're starting to find out that is water. Yep.
Yeah, the 100 proofs that I drink, I always put an ice cube in it.
Yeah. And that really opens it up. It does a good job opening
And Jimmy's
it.
talked about just like taking little drops of water and just kind of
Even
drop
your little
them.
pinky finger and then transfer it over. That's what.
Well, that's kind of like the droppers.
Yeah.
They do a good job at just a little bit of water.
Excellent idea.
So.
James Fowler, this is terrific stuff, and thanks for. And James will put his. He was not afraid to go up against High West. He's gone up against Pappy Van Winkle, which was pretty brave.
Yeah.
But it's not like win or lose with you. It's
No,
just,
not at all.
It's just which do you like better?
Yeah.
And mine is way more available than Pappy,
That's right.
and it's cheaper than High West.
Yeah, exactly. So.
So you can't go wrong there. Jimmy Santangelo, a little splishy splashy of news.
We do. We have a splash of news. We'll move on to, we just have two quick reports. We like to do a little info here. The Euro News reports that Europe is home to the world's heaviest drinkers. So among the 10 countries that drink the most in the world, 9 are in the European Union. Russia, yep. There are a big difference between nations, though. Here's a ranking order that drinks every day topping the list. So Portugal, 20% of the population drinks every day in Portugal. Following that, you have Spain, Italy, Croatia, Bulgaria, France, Belgium, Denmark, and Luxembourg. In a recent report by The Hill, Americans are drinking more spirits today than wine.
Interesting.
So it's and we're drinking. The younger generation overall is drinking less than that of 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Yeah, so they
why.
got a kick. I don't know. Health reasons. I don't know.
Money.
Money. It's
maybe?
all about me.
Yeah.
So anyway, next one. It's that time of year again for everything pumpkin. Pumpkin.
I refuse to. I won't even on the daily radio show that I do. I will not mention pumpkin spice. Pumpkin spice this, pumpkin spice that. No.
So from your lattes at your local coffee shop to our artisan pumpkin bread, pumpkin ravioli, to pumpkin cocktails. Here are a few pumpkin cocktails. Pumpkin spice white Russian. All right, you have your vodka, your Kahlua coffee liqueur, and use pumpkin spice creamer that you would normally put in your coffee as a replacer for the creamer. And that'll make every afternoon, stand out. And if you can get your hands on some pumpkin syrup produced by such brands as Torini, Jordan's Skinny Syrups, or Da Vinci Sugar-Free Syrup, you can substitute the sweet in many cocktail classics and make yourself a pumpkin margarita, pumpkin old-fashioned, and much, much more.
Sounds dreadful.
And that's your splash of news.
Any plans, James Fowler, to do a pumpkin whiskey?
No pumpkin whiskey.
How about what's your position on these? And I will say right up front, I think they're just silly and dumb.
Yeah.
These Fireball and there are variations of all of that.
Yeah, I struggle
Flavored
with it.
whiskeys. Yeah.
I mean, when you start introducing that much sugar in it, you're just asking for a hangover. And
Yeah.
I mean, it's.
Yeah, no, I just and I mean I've had Fireball. And I go, oh, you like this?
Yeah.
And and of course Jägermeister is a whole different thing. But I can never figure out why people just Jägermeister.
Well, I think I need to go back to my 20s and
Yes.
kind of see that again because I mean it really took. I was probably 35 before I stumbled upon good whiskey, and then it was like, oh, I don't need to shoot this. I can actually sip on it.
Yeah, and it's really true. I mean, we've consumed whiskey here, but responsibly, and just little sips and tastes, and they're good, and they do it relaxes you a little bit and makes you feel good, but you're not out of control. And yeah. The point, I guess it used to be the point was to get out of control.
Yeah,
Let's get out of control.
Fireball will do that.
No, people today on both the food side and the beverage side are more aware of what they're consuming. The consumers, your guests in restaurants or otherwise, are smarter today than they've ever been before. And I've been saying this for the last 10 years. Every year they're getting smarter and smarter. And it's from media and availability information. But it makes it more difficult to produce a product that you can see the grain structure and the balance of oak coming through a product. And this is just a shout out to you, James, but Sugar House I think really speaks to that.
Yeah, no, thank you.
From humble beginnings to being very successful with Sugar House Distillery, people can come and visit anytime. You're open. When are you open?
So we're open Monday through Friday right now from 10 o'clock to 6 o'clock at night. And we do tasting, so you can just walk in up till about an hour before we close. And it's kind of cool. You sit out in the shop, and it's, I think, $10, and you go through five. You
got your
tastings.
ID with you to prove that you're of age.
Yeah, ID.
But you can sit out there and have and taste some of the product.
Yep.
And then it will inform you what to buy when you go to the liquor store.
Yeah.
Or you can buy from the distillery.
Absolutely. And we have our canned cocktails. We normally have a couple more flavors that we don't have at the liquor store at our distillery. So
what is the so you take your product to the liquor store, or they come and pick it up, or however that works.
Yeah.
What's the? Do you get a fair cut of that, or? Do you mind saying what the cut you get, or is that?
Well, you always are going to work with
propriety?
a distributor out of state, so you're always going to lose probably 30%.
Yeah.
And the state, we get a small producer discount, and so until you make so much, so there are some local. Like I'm assuming High West doesn't get a small producer discount. Mm-hmm. There's going to be some local people that don't after you sell that amount. and then you go up to 88%. So then they take, then I think you're paying about 42% in Utah state taxes, somewhere in there.
There you go. And because it's a money-making business for the state, for sure.
That it is.
Yeah. James Fowler, we're going to play a card game now. Do you want to explain why we do this, Jimmy?
This is a fun flashcard game I used to do on Dirty Joke Thursdays when I ran restaurants.
Yeah.
We would do that in pre-shift. So these are both wine and PG sex card questions.
Okay. I haven't looked at the answers, so I'm in on the guessing as well.
Okay.
Let's see. Is that 2 cards? No, that's just one. True or false? A white Bordeaux is typically made from Viognier grapes.
What?
No, Sauv Blanc and Semillon.
By French law, wine labeled as white Bordeaux can be made from Sauvignon Blanc, Semillon, or Muscadel. White or some other grapes are not permitted. Viognier is not. Correct, Jimmy.
Jimmy, you got that quick.
It's not the only thing I do fast. Wait,
According to his autobiography, this is for you then.
Yeah.
According to his autobiography, NBA star Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain slept with how many women?
Oh my gosh.
A, 500. B, 1,000. C, 5,000. D, 20,000. According to him in his autobiography.
it's a lot.
I'm going to say
The
5,000.
most, yeah.
Well, no, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say,
20,000?
you're going to say 20?
Okay.
Actually, 5. I'm with you.
I'm going to
Sorry.
say 5.
Yeah.
I knew the answer to this
I think
because
it
I
was
read it.
that. Yeah, he wrote the book. I seem to remember 10, even 20 years ago about this. Yeah, it was a
20,000.
20,000.
Man.
That's crazy.
And
That
that
is a lot.
based on an estimate, that would be 1.2 women a day since he was 15 years old.
That is crazy.
I
Score
don't-
100 points.
Yeah.
And let's see how. Okay, how about this? True or false? Early vibrators were used by doctors to bring a woman to orgasm as part of medical treatment.
I would say true.
I'd say true.
I think it is
Like
true.
in the
Yeah.
1800s or something.
Yeah, it is true. Doctors gave their female patients genital massage, believing that sexual release would treat emotional or mental problems.
So I think genital massage. I think I'm self-prescribed.
The art of genital massage. Okay, doctor, can't I just do this myself?
I'm going to write you a prescription.
All right, I'll waive the copay.
All right. James Fowler, Sugar House Distillery. Thanks. Nice to see you again.
Yeah, nice seeing you.
And thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Dawson.
You got it.
Let's see. I think, we need to always, of course, thank Casot for having us here, 15th and 15th. And also, you can ask us anything if you'd like to. You can email us at theletsgoeatshow@gmail.com. That's the Let's Go Eat Show @gmail.com. Thank you all, and we'll see you again.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's give it a last little.
Cheers.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Let's Go Eat and Drink Show with Jimmy Santangelo and Bill Allred. Comments, questions, or angry complaints to the management should be directed to the Let's Go Eat Show @gmail.com. The Let's Go Eat and Drink Show is produced by Dawson Dow. I'm Zach Caton, and that about drains my social battery for the day, so I'll see you next time.
Let's go.